This is The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. Episode 92, recorded January 26th, 2016. Hello, everybody, and welcome to The Weekly Set, the official podcast of TVEnthusiast.com. I am your host and editor-in-chief of TV Enthusiast. My name is Tyson, and joining us today, as always, is our keeper of comics here at TVE, Will.
Hello.
So today we're going to be talking about the latest episode of Supergirl, the first episode of Season 2 of The Magicians, and Season 1, Episode 2 of Taboo. Okay, so let's get started with Supergirl. So this episode of Supergirl was actually directed by Kevin Smith, who has become kind of like a new featured director for the Arrowverse shows, I guess.
Yeah, I guess he's a big fanboy, so they always turn to him, and he's always up for directing an episode or two of these shows. He loves it. This episode features his daughter, Harley Quinn Smith, as
named after the Batman villain.
It goes without saying.
But yeah, so she's in the episode as well. The actual name of the episode is Supergirl Lives, which is funny as well because Kevin Smith was involved in the early stages of script writing for a movie called Superman Lives that never happened. It kind of fell apart. It's a whole mess of a movie. There's so much story there. But yeah, so they kind of did like a little tribute to the Superman Lives stuff that he worked on by titling this one Supergirl Lives. So, kind of like a lot of like little in-jokes, in there. Kevin Smith's involvement, his daughter being in there, Superman Lives, all that stuff's in there. But, the basic concept of the episode is that, there's, an alien race that is abducting humans and, giving them up for slave trade, and a mother voices her concern about it to the newspaper that Kara's at, and Kara ends up being moved by it while her boss isn't. And
moved by his bagel and quiet.
Yeah. And she decides to try to find the daughter, ends up discovering this alien slave trade thing, and surprise, there's a familiar face involved in this plot, which is Roulette, who we saw in the Fight Club episode they had.
Yep, Roulette returns. Earlier. She's involved in the slave trade now.
So Kara ends up going through this portal to this other world where she doesn't have any abilities because there's no yellow sun. And she's joined by Mon-El, who crosses over as well, seeming now that he wants to be more heroic, I guess.
Yeah, I guess. Sure, whatever. We'll roll with that. I don't know. I guess there's like a nice scene at the end of the episode about him wanting to be more heroic, but then I'm like, but it's Mon-El, I can't really care. So...
There is some interesting stuff with him because they kind of reveal that I guess he is this prince of the wherever, what's it, Draxonite, or where is he from?
Yeah, now you got me like
Daxonite?
Daxon.
Something like that.
Daxon, yeah, he's a Daxonite. He's from Daxon.
Yeah, so I guess he's like the prince of Daxon, which we didn't know before.
Yeah, we thought the other guy was the Prince of Daxon.
Yeah.
But
it was revealed, it seems to be that it was Mon-El, like one of the people that was going to be buying slaves, like stop one of the slave trader aliens from basically killing him because it says not him, and then when Mon-El stops in front of him, he bows to him. Yeah. And then later on, there's like a reference to the prince, at which point he kind of acts like a little cagey when like Kara brings it up. So she doesn't know. But we're kind of now led to believe that he is
Royalty, yes. Which does nothing to improve his character, so whatever.
What did you think about the episode? This is Kevin Smith's first Supergirl episode.
Nothing amazing, but it was a pretty decent episode. I liked it. I liked the way Supergirl, having no powers, stood up to slave traders like that, in like that selfless manner. She kept getting tased, and she kept getting back up. And I thought that was a great scene in the episode.
Yeah, so
there was also
Supergirl...
the subplot with Wynn almost getting killed while he's out on a mission with the Guardian, and then he becomes like deathly afraid of just being in the field, I guess, in general.
That's like a CW Extremes kind of thing. Like, he goes from like doing something incredibly stupid in which he participates in knocking this guy out, and then immediately takes his eyes off him and was like, yeah, I did it. Gets put in a very bad spot, and then is immediately like, I can't be anywhere near this stuff.
I know, yeah. I can't do it. And like, and he has to be like snapped out of it.
Yeah. Let's see, what else was going on in this episode? Well, Kara's sister, is deepening her relationship, with her detective lover. Yeah. They're kind of staying together, but she has kind of an irrational CW flip out as well.
But like, yeah, I know she does. She's like, my sister's missing. I can't have anything to do with you anymore. Bye. It's like, what? I mean,
I achieved some level of happiness. Therefore, this is disaster fell because I was happy for a moment.
Obviously, it was your happiness that caused this. Damn it, damn happiness. That's why nobody on the planet ever gets happy, because bad things will happen.
Look what you've done. Selfishly pursuing happiness.
Yes. Yeah, that's like that's such like a soap opera conceit, you know, when they just want to like manufacture drama, they always turn to that. It's like, really? It's like, probably.
Then you get away from these snap decisions that characters make.
Your happiness probably did cause that, in the sense that the writers probably just wanted to do something to fuck with the happy relationship, but writers are like that.
Trying to find, I saw a tweet that one of the editors on IGN TV wrote about it was in reference to The Flash, but not particularly like this episode or anything, but just kind of like some of the kind of events that go on in The Flash. I think it kind of reflects the whole Arrowverse though, but I can't find it right now, but basically said like, you know, my name is Barry Allen, I'm the fastest man alive, and I'm just gonna keep changing the world until somebody puts me down like the rabid animal I am.
Really?
And that's kind of like what, you know, I think the biggest fault of the Arrowverse is just like characters acting in completely irrational ways.
Yeah.
And like, you understand, like, you know, if every character acted completely rational, then there'd be little drama, and they just wouldn't seem human. But there's like a difference between being completely rational and being completely irrational, you know?
Right, exactly. Most people are sort of in between, you know? You know? Yeah.
You don't want them to be rational robots, but you also don't want them to be so irrational that it's like meaningless, you know? Like anything they go through has no actual lesson on them because they're so irrational that the next second they'll just jump through the next crazy conclusion.
Yeah, exactly. They'll jump to the next crazy conclusion. And a little off topic, but the latest episode of Arrow, how the hell did Prometheus
hold on, I haven't seen yesterday's episode.
Whoops. How the hell did Prometheus learn to breakdance like that? That's crazy.
He's super fresh.
Yes.
Just does the robot, you know? It's amazing.
Amazing. Amazing. How do you get those moves? Okay, well, we won't mention that. Maybe next podcast. But yeah.
So, yeah, I mean,
overall, I liked the episode of Supergirl. You know, it wasn't anything like amazing. That's probably the problem with the season of Supergirl is it hasn't been anything amazing. You know,
I just feel like, I don't know how to put it better than I did before, but it's just the entire Arrowverse is just so irrational that it gets to the point where it's like hard to, it's like that tweet I mentioned. It's hard to like root for Barry when Barry will do something so selfish and so insanely stupid. And then of course it's going to have consequences, even if those consequences are made even more ridiculous than they ever would be, like in really unnatural, weird ways or something. But it's like, you know, stop fucking doing shit. You're ruining everything. Every time you change something, you make things like 10 times worse and you're not learning your lesson. And it's hard to like be supportive of that character
when you
anymore.
do like the same stupid thing like over and over and over again, then, you know, you start worrying about how like intelligent your hero actually is. You know,
it's hard to see them as a hero when like all of the things they're fighting against are basically caused by them.
Yeah, exactly. At least with Arrow, you could safely say for most of its run, everything was because of Malcolm Merlyn.
Yeah, but with the Flash, it's almost everything can be directly attributed to Barry. Like it's all his fault, basically.
Like
so it's like, how can you see him as a hero when basically
Reverse Flash was Barry's fault because of shit older Barry did in the future or something?
Apparently, Barry still hasn't learned his lesson. Like way in the future.
Zoom was Barry's fault because, you know, he opened the portal into another dimension, and then now like Savitar is Barry's fault because of he changed the past and created Flashpoint.
Yeah, and so it's like it's just everything he does that's good in the show is just a tiny fragment of mediating the damage that he caused in something else he's done. So it's not like he's, you know, making things right or something. He's making things slightly less worse.
Yeah, exactly. he's just trying to clean up his own messes at this point. It's like
failing.
It's like he keeps spilling the milk. It's like, hey, can you not spill the milk? And then he cleans it up and he's like, see, I cleaned it, I'm a hero. It's like, not really. Should have spilled it.
Yeah, not really. You spilled it on my computer and it's fried now. Yeah, the counter's not wet anymore, but shit, this computer's dead. We basically just summed up the Flash and a lot of the Arrowverse.
Yeah, pretty much.
Milk a computer, fries computer, cleans up countertop, and says, "Look, I'm saved today."
That's hilarious.
I'm the hero.
I did it.
So that's Supergirl. Moving on now. This is a show I'm so excited to come back.
For Supergirl's sake, she has been a competent hero. Nothing has happened so far as a result of anything Supergirl's done. So that's good.
That's true.
Yes. She does seem to be competent and doesn't seem to like be a Barry Allen. So yeah.
Yeah. But moving on now, this is a show that I've been couldn't wait to talk with you about the show again. This is something we talked about last year and we were really into it, and you know, of all the shows kind of coming back in the winter season, this was the one that I was like, yes, bring this back to me, and it's The Magicians. And so we're going to be talking about episode 1 of season 2, titled The Night of Crowns. Yeah, lots of stuff going on in this episode.
I had actually forgotten this aired until like you literally mentioned it today, and I was like, I have to watch this before the podcast now. So thank you for that reminder.
So worth it though, right?
Yeah, so worth it, so worth it. It's good to have this show back. I don't know if this was the strongest season opener. It certainly isn't as strong as say the first episode of the series, if we're to compare season openers. But
I don't know if I'd agree with that. I think the first episode of the series, the ending of the first episode of the series was phenomenal.
Okay, yeah, that's
but the
mostly what I
itself,
think.
I think.
Yeah, I think you have a fair point there. It's the ending of that episode that I mostly think about here.
I think this episode had a really good blend of like there's drama going on, but it also had a lot of comedy.
There's a lot of
great comedy.
Which was great to see, especially coming from Elliot. Elliot is the king of Fillory, and we see him. He's struggling to come to grips with that reality, especially towards the end of the episode when it's revealed like his friends have to go back to Breakbills and he can't go because he's the king of this magical kingdom and he never asked to be king of.
He's stuck there forever. He can never leave.
Yeah, he's stuck there forever.
Then you have, Quentin and Alice and Margot, they can all leave. But, they're busy doing stuff with him. But then they basically, in their quest to try to find another way to take out the beast after, Julia took off with them, they discover that they need to go to the armory and they think that there's some kind of a magic that's incredibly potent that was buried there because one of the Chatwins in the Fillory books sought out an answer but couldn't make use of it because they didn't have enough power, and then they got power from the gods in the same way that Alice ended up getting her power. And so they think like, okay, so there must be a spell in the armory that he knew he wouldn't be able to use unless he imbued himself with that power, and they attribute basically the winning of World War II to him gaining this spell. So it's something incredibly potent.
Yeah, it's something incredibly potent. So they figure if they can get the spell, then they've got a way to kill the beast. But they get to the armory and there's no spell.
Yeah, the thing is basically empty.
Yeah.
The one clue they get from it is they get a notebook, basically with descriptions of the spells, but not the spells themselves. Basically like notes about the spells. And basically the notebook
like
comes from Breakbills.
Without recipes.
That's the analogy they use.
That's the analogy they use, yeah.
They have this notebook and they know it's from Breakbills. So they know now they have to go back to Breakbills to get this. This, of course, takes Elliot from being kind of like not thinking about his current situation to the fact that now his friends are going to leave him. It's also important to note that it was brought up in the first season and he brings it up again, that time moves differently between Fillory and Earth. So they could be gone for a day and it could be decades for him. He doesn't know, it could be so drastically different.
Right.
So this is like a very hard thing for him. It's not just like, oh, they're going to go and they're going to be back. It's like he might be waiting for them the rest of his life, and they might not even be back until he's already gone for all he knows.
Right. He doesn't know.
Yeah. So Elliot still probably my favorite character on the show now.
Yep. I agree.
Great balance of humor. He can be kind of dry. I like the moment between him and Quentin when he was confessing like his kind of concerns about this and like his sadness about this. And he says at the end, he's like, it's incredibly rude to touch a king without his permission, but you should probably hug me right now.
Yeah, that was great. That was great. The whole crowning ceremony was great. When they run into that dead knight and he gives them the test and it's like all like
and it's all
90s pop culture trivia.
90s, yeah.
90s pop culture
Elliot
trivia.
finally wins them over by reciting dialogue from Dirty Dancing.
It's funny because it said, like it's stuff only a person from Earth would know in their heart, and it's all like American 90s pop culture. Like somebody from India probably wouldn't know that shit. So it's like Okay, dude. Whatever.
Yeah, the titular character of the episode, the Knight of Crowns, very, very funny. Typical, like, ridiculous Fillory shit.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's talk about how this episode started. So it started, like, exactly where
now, this was
season one left off.
This scene as a preview, like, a while back, like, months back. So, like, I'd seen the scene from the preview that Syfy released.
We've seen most of it.
We've seen most of it.
Because it cut off pretty quickly.
It cuts off right. The preview cut off right to the point where Alice comes out and it's revealed that she basically healed everybody. And, so instead of everybody being dead.
Yeah, it was revealed before that point. Like, we didn't see that in the scene that was shown at
right,
Comic-Con.
because the Comic-Con scene, that would have gone a little too far into, that would be more than a tease, really. That would have been spoilers. So
yeah. So what we got from this that goes beyond what was seen at Comic-Con was that everything that he had just done, that Quentin had just done, like rushing out there, finding this woman, giving a vial of his blood, which is incredibly ominous.
Yes. Like, what is she going to do with that blood? What is she planning? Like, what kind of spells is she going to cast with that? You don't know. I hope that's
was pointless.
I hope that's actually revisited. Yeah. It was pointless. It turns out to be pointless.
He runs back. He's like, I'm here to save the day. And she's like, oh yeah, I woke up and saved everyone.
Like, oh, didn't you forget? I'm basically a god now, so kind of hard to just kill me like that.
And then it's funny because they're sitting around discussing what their next move's gonna be, and Penny is just being quiet the whole time until finally he says, excuse me, are we gonna do anything about the fact that my hands are fucking in a box?
Yeah.
So, Penny takes off with Margot to this magical stream that can repair his hands, reattach them to his body and make them work. So he goes, they run into a citizen of Fillory there, another weirdo that's, basically tells them he's there to kind of help them with their healing. And, they do everything. And then he basically holds his hand out for a tip and he's like 20 gold pieces. Like, we don't have anything. Penny goes off on a tirade, just goes full Dick Penny mode.
Well, he's like 20 gold pieces. And he's like, okay, if you don't have that, then 5 years of labor. He's like, yeah.
But Penny just responds to it in full dick mode, like,
oh yeah,
basically.
He's like, oh, you're just a shill. You're just trying to scam people. This is a natural resource on public land.
It's just funny hearing that used to describe an area of Fillory, like such a bureaucratic way of describing it.
How does he know that's public land, first of all?
So, the guy, like, as Penny's kind of taken off and leaving from there, casts some kind of spell on him. We see the scars on Penny's wrist kind of glow, as that's our sign that something's up with him.
Yeah.
I thought his hands were just gonna, like, fall off or something.
I thought so too, but no, what he did is much more insidious than that.
Yeah. Basically made Penny completely unreliable.
Pretty much. The first time he tries to brush it off.
His hands are just kind of like acting on their own, causing damage.
Yeah.
Leaving him messed up. He goes running back, basically begging for, his hands to be fixed. And the guy's like, he makes a cryptic comment about, that he needs to learn a lesson, especially for the role he'll be taking or something.
Right.
Without necessarily saying what it is. And he doesn't, he's not one of the ones that's crowned a prince or a king by, Elliot. So apparently that's not the role unless, later on he is or something.
I thought they were actually all going to be crowned princes and kings, but like literally he's the only person not to get crowned. And I don't know what the reason for that is.
He's probably happy about that though.
Well, yeah, he doesn't seem...
Knowing Penny, he's like, I don't want that shit.
Yeah, he doesn't want that shit. It's like, that's interesting. I thought that was interesting.
So let me think. I think that covers most of what kind of happened.
Well, we didn't cover
in Fillory with our main crew. Yeah, we didn't cover Julia and the Beast.
Yeah, Julia and the Beast, which was
is
interesting.
Like a new buddy cop.
Yeah,
it's a new buddy cop procedural.
Yeah, it basically plays like a NBC freaking procedural. I'm like, oh great, now we're in procedural mode with Julia and the Beast as the new hot crime-solving duo. Like this is the conceit coming to NBC this fall, an unstoppable evil from a magic kingdom and teams up with a beautiful woman to solve crimes in Los Angeles. The Magicians.
So, we joke, but that was probably my favorite parts of the episode, were the parts with Julia and the Beast, just because we're getting kind of more of a glimpse of who the Beast is.
We're getting more of a glimpse into the Beast, which we didn't get a chance to in the first season, because throughout the entire first season, the Beast was just presented as the boogeyman, and here's the boogeyman. But, it's that dilemma too, because it's like the boogeyman is so much more effective when he's the boogeyman than when you actually know him.
I think once they revealed who he is and everything at the end of the season, that's pretty much done. You can't do the boogeyman angle anymore.
Yeah, you can't do that angle.
So now it's kind of like even though the series ended up turning very bad, it's kind of like Sylar in Heroes.
Yeah.
Like once you kind of like know who he is and stuff, at that point, like the whole kind of boogeyman aspect of him's out the window, and you have to find something else to do with them. And I think what they're doing is interesting
I think he's trying.
The truth of the matter is that but the truth of the matter is that him being paired with Julia is an interesting pairing because they're both victims of sexual abuse.
Yes, that's true too.
And it's interesting that how that parallel is made, how that connection is drawn, and how, the Beast brings that up in what you say is like his trying to corrupt Julia. We don't know if it's necessary that he's trying to corrupt her as like a way of using her, or if he feels a genuine bond. He describes is...
It questions, I'm still questioning, is he capable of feeling anything? Is he capable of feeling a bond like that in the first place?
Because there's the whole issue of the shade that he mentions, which is like a part of the soul that it basically has the capacity of love and also of pain, and saying that he had severed his.
Yes.
And that's how he was able to kind of move on, and offering to do the same for her. And he actually takes her shade out of her body so she can experience it for a second, what it's like without it, before returning it to her because she says she wants it back. All of this, of course, is because Julia was able to work up some contract with him, saying that he cannot harm her, he cannot harm Quentin or any of the others or anything until the point at which their contract's up, which is when, they've gotten rid of this god.
Yep. You also noticed he has a preoccupation with children.
It's weird because it's hard to draw exactly what that is from it. Because if the Beast was who we were led to believe the Beast was in season 1, which of course it isn't because we know who he is, then you'd be like, wow, that's like super like this. But then you have this kind of other side, which is like, so is his preoccupation with children, is this like him, like, kind of missing that aspect of his own life that was like taken from him? Or is it like an example of how a lot of people that are like, child molesters and stuff were molested themselves as children? And now, so this is like a part of who he is as well. So it's a weird territory that they're exploring with it, and they're doing it very lightly.
They're doing it very lightly too. It's kind of weird. There's one point where he insists Julia drop him off at a playground so he could watch the children, and then he just glibly says, "I assure you, it's innocent."
Yeah,
like
it's just it's an interesting exploration of this character, I think.
Yeah, There's that.
But what do you think? Do you think the Beast is taking taking a genuine liking to Julia, or do you think that it's purely manipulation on his part?
I think it's purely manipulation. So I think he's taking a genuine interest in her. I think he sees her as somebody similar to himself, and in that he could probably mold her to be someone like him. He talks about plans or something that she could be a co-partner of if she just gets rid of her shade, and who knows what the hell those plans are.
That's the curious thing. Like, what are his plans? Because we know, like you said, in the first season, he was the boogeyman. And now he's like an actual character. So now you have to go, well, what's his motivation? Why does he give a shit that these students are alive or not, you know?
Right. Now you have to give him motivation. Now you have to say, okay, like his motivation has to be more than he just wants to kill the students and break bills.
Yeah, there has to be a reason why he wants to, why he's going through like 39 loops of this shit, you know?
Right.
In the last season, why he went through all that and kept repeating it, even knowing that was happening. Like, why would he care? Like, at a certain point, you have to say, like, well, he'd just go, fuck this. I already rule a magical realm and have control over all this shit. What do I care? You know? Right. Like, what?
Unless
they're only a threat to me because I made them a threat to me by, like, showing them myself to them, you know? It's like,
exactly.
At a certain point, like, you know, certain loop, just go like, well, just won't show up, don't bother, who cares, you know?
Yeah,
and now you have to go, okay, well, he does have a motivation.
Yeah.
And what is that motivation? So that's going to be like an interesting part of season 2, I think.
That is definitely going to be an interesting part of season 2, I think.
Meanwhile, while Julia and the Beast are tracking down this trickster god, the trickster god is basically on the loose, just like harvesting hearts left and right from like people doing different rituals.
Right.
He's basically finding people doing rituals and harvesting.
He's just basically doing like he's been doing since the beginning of time. And yeah, so basically they're trying to track down this trickster god. And yeah, they find this other group who did a ritual, and they're all dead because of him. Mm-hmm. And
all of them with their hearts taken out, like he took out the hearts of the other group that Julia was with. So yeah, I think if there's anything else to say about the episode, but I'm just kind of excited season 2's back. I know that we're supposed to see Katie again in this season, and we didn't see her this episode. That was the girl that like Penny had the kind of relationship with.
Oh yeah, that's right.
That ended up leaving Breakbills. She's supposed to be in season 2. We haven't seen her yet. I'd imagine we're probably going to see the one like leader of the hedge witches that had the whole feud thing with Julia, but then ended up like helping her at the end of last season.
Yeah.
I imagine we're going to see her again. But yeah, we're going to have to see where this goes, like what ends up happening through the course of this. But so far, so good. I enjoy it. I like that stark contrast between like, you know, horror and drama, and then going to like just the absolute absurdity of Fillory.
Right. Right. I love that.
When they said they're going back to Breakbills.
I love how they can mishmash genre and tone like the way they do. Yeah. It's so great.
When they said they were going back to Breakbills, part of me was like, no. Don't be gone for too long. We need that Fillory absurdity.
I was kind of thinking too much Fillory might spoil you. So
that's true.
We'll have to see what happens when they go back to Breakbills.
And you know, like we've already seen like from the trailers and stuff. There's a lot of stuff in Fillory that was not in this episode. So they're obviously going back. It's just a matter of when and how much of this season is out of Fillory and how much of it is in. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to the next episode. We got our screeners, but we're going to be watching them 1 week at a time, I think, still.
Yep.
To try to pace them out.
We can't discuss anything in screeners that hasn't aired on TV, so it's not like we're going to be blasting through all our screeners and spoiling everything ahead of time on this podcast, so don't worry about that.
If we did, we couldn't talk talk about them.
Yeah, we're actually bound not to talk about anything in those screeners until they have aired on television. So it's, even if we did watch episode 2 now, even if we have already watched episode 2 as the time of this recording, we could not be talking about it. So
exactly,
we're not discussing.
So so we're going to be talking one episode a week at the regular pace. But we'll be talking about that next week. So that brings us to our last show of the podcast, which is Taboo. So this is season 1, episode 2. That's, I guess, the title of the episode, just episode 2, because there's no actual title. The
Taboo 2.
Go on.
I said yay.
Taboo 2, the tabooing.
Yes.
Taboo harder.
Now I'm mad. Now I'm mad that the NES game Taboo: The Sixth Sense isn't about Tom Hardy. Okay.
Taboo 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Yes. Well, let's talk about
what are you thinking about the show now, being 2 episodes in? Is it still holding the kind of atmosphere that you were getting off the first episode?
It hasn't skipped a beat so far. I don't know what you think about it. I mean, I thought this was actually better than the first episode in a lot of ways. I
agree. I don't think they didn't have any moments that were as kind of like crazy tense as some of the early scenes in the first episode.
The last scene. But, yeah, they didn't have like that tension. I guess wasn't there so much.
But it was still great. Like, it was great. It had
but there were still like scenes of like Tom Hardy sitting there, just sitting there and looking completely insane.
Yeah. And they kind of doubled down on the whole witchy.
Yeah.
They kind of doubled down on the whole witchy aspect, which is something I really dug about the show, like that I wasn't expecting. I thought the show was going to be more like kind of grounded in the reality of it, but that kind of witchy element, that kind of like vague supernatural element, like they kind of doubled down with him having these kind of visions. Yeah, I really dug that. So, I really liked the scene where he was having this conversation with this young girl, who we later find out is the madam's daughter, Helga's daughter, Winter.
Yes.
And he's having this kind of vague conversation with her, and she's telling him about like an assassin that's out for him, and she takes him to like where the ship is, and he goes out to it and swims to it, and it's just kind of like I like that whole scene. It was just kind of like weirdly vague and like a kind of it just has a tone that I think I like in the show. Like I keep saying, the way it feels to me.
Right. The way it feels. No, I get you. Yeah, it was a good scene, I thought too. I thought that was a really good scene.
So in this episode, actually about him kind of consolidating his power. So basically he's using these diamonds he has. He buys a ship. Seems almost more than anything like a message to the East Indian Company, like a big fuck you to them.
Yeah, because he buys a ship and then he just burns it, right?
So it's just a big fuck you to them to say that he can he can do wants, and
like even like the leader of the East India Company, he's sitting there, he's wondering like how did he even get the money to buy a boat, let alone to buy a boat and just burn it. And, the head of the East India Company came to a conclusion that he's an American spy.
Mm-hmm. He assumes that, speaking of American spy, his character ends up going and finding an actual American spy.
Yes.
And has a little conversation with him. He's not an American. He isn't actually an American spy, that Tom Hardy's character.
No, he's not.
But there is an American spy in this. Now the East Indian Company thinks that he's an American spy. There's just so much going on there with this comic book between there. But James, that's Tom Hardy's character's name. He in his efforts to consolidate his power, like we said, he bought a ship, he burned it. He also made a contact with somebody in the underworld to try to get information, to be like a constant source of information for him.
Right.
He talked to Helga again, who is I thought I recognized her in the first episode, but I ended up looking it up, and it is is. She's played by Franca Potente, who she was in like Run Lola Run and a bunch of like kind of German like indie films. But what you might know her more for is like she was in the first like Bourne Identity film.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
She was like the love interest of it. She's the one that plays the madam. He kind of like has another scene with her where he kind of like agrees to use her as like a source as well for information.
Right. He's building up kind of like his crew, you know?
Yeah. And then this American spy who he encounters as well. He's trying to use him as like a source as well. The episode description described it as assembling his League of the Damned.
Yeah.
Which seems pretty apt. So yeah, that's a lot of what the episode is he's kind of building up this base. And he's got his plots going.
The company is desperate to have him killed.
Yeah.
Like they want him dead yesterday.
But then a new wrinkle comes in that neither side expected, which is a woman shows up at there's kind of like the will reading for his father or whatever it is. And all these people are there like screaming at him, wanting, the debts to be paid that the father owed. He basically shuts them all up by saying he's going to pay all the debts even though he doesn't have, the debts don't transfer to the next of kin, so he doesn't have to pay these debts, but he said he's going to. And then like in that moment of like seeming like victory, like he's kind of like won over these people, put in this, it's like, oh, he's kind of made a strong political move now. In that moment, all of a sudden the woman reveals herself to be the wife of his late father.
Well, so she claims.
Yeah, she says she has proof.
Yeah.
They end up going to a separate room with the judge to kind of look over, what her paperwork is. Judge says he has to, call Ireland because that's where they were apparently married to see whether or not this is true. But James had found like a playbill before with the actresses that this woman's name circled. She's an actress.
Right.
So there is some connection there. She's not just some like random person that's trying to scam money off of a dead person or something. There is some kind of connection.
There is some kind of connection. Yeah, exactly.
We just don't quite know exactly what it is. But, so she shows up all of a sudden. Now she has a claim to the fortune, even though James was like the sole beneficiary of the will. So it's like complicating things now. East Indian Company takes that as like, hey, well then now when we kill him, we can just bargain with this woman. So
yeah.
We kill him to kind of take away all uncertainty, and then we have somebody else that we can actually bargain with.
Yeah. So yeah, basically the idea is if he dies, then she becomes the sole beneficiary of the land that he owns, and they can bargain with her. And
so they're like,
much more open to bargain.
Killed now.
Yeah. So speed up. And speed up they do, because an attempt is made on his life at the end of this very episode.
Yeah. An attempt that doesn't necessarily go so well for the attacker.
No.
Leaves James' fate uncertain, but, I mean, it is the main character of the show, so I don't think he's gonna die in episode 3.
He should have basically told the attacker, this is episode 2, and I'm the main character, so
yeah,
what do you expect to happen?
If you think they're Game of Thronesing me, then you gotta show up on episode 9, buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
So he takes out his would-be assassin, but he's gravely injured. There's gotta be more of him this season, because Tom Hardy basically put up a ton of his own money to get this made just because he wanted to play this character so much. I doubt he's like, now that I put up all the money for this show, I'm gonna show up for 2 episodes and then go away.
And then die, and the show wouldn't be interesting at all.
At that point, he would have just been better off making a movie. It's like...
Yeah.
So we know...
the way he dispatches with his attacker is particularly brutal, though. He stabs him to death, sure, but then he, bites into his neck, and he, rips out his neck. Yeah. It's like, it's particularly savage.
He's proven himself to be the kind of beast that everyone kind of thinks of him as or assumes he is.
Right.
And that's what makes him so dangerous, is this kind of unpredictability while still having this intelligence to him. So yeah, I mean, trying to think, what do we have going forward in this season? We have, in this episode, we got a little bit more about his relationship with his sister. Seems even more implicit that there's something going on between them after this episode.
Oh yeah. It definitely was some kind of romance happening between him and his sister.
Yeah, it's kind of when he basically says like, we would finish and you'd like put on your petticoats and walk away or something, like it's like, oh, okay. Yeah, there's like a direct implication of it now. Before it was like a vague hint. Now it's like, yeah, he's pretty much basically saying, we fucked and then you walked away.
Yeah.
We have this mystery woman, this actress in the picture now that might or might not be his stepmom. The East Indian Company's hoping it is, and then they'll just sweep right in and take advantage of that. But we have no idea of what her motivations are. The fact that she married this guy that seems to be like the most horrible person alive, from all accounts,
right.
Makes you kind of wonder if she doesn't have her own plans and she's not just in it for just like, a quick payout or something from the East Indian Company, that there might be some other deeper involvement she has if she is, for real, who she says she is. You have, James' involvement with all these different, people he's building up now, like the madam at this whorehouse, Helga, and, you learning about Helga's, daughter Winter and everything like that. And the way it's connected to that, you just have an interesting setup happening. And then, of course, the American Spy.
Right.
So it's all interesting stuff, like being set up right now. And with the setting, in this kind of like post-revolutionary war kind of setting, all that's just like super interesting. And so I can't wait to watch more.
Yeah, definitely. I'm looking forward to the third episode already. Going to be hot.
So yeah, that's it for Taboo. So that's the end of the shows we're discussing this week. I'm just going to go over right now and talk about what's coming up in the next week on TV. So, tomorrow or today, by the time this airs, actually, Friday, January 27th, Amazon has 2 series coming. They have Z, The Beginning of Everything. That's one about Zelda Fitzgerald. It stars, Christina Ricci. Or Ricci. Is it Ricci or Ricci? What is it?
Ricci. I think you said it right the first time.
Okay. She's in it. And, then you have, Ronja the Robber's Daughter, which is an anime series from Studio Ghibli.
Yeah.
So, nice. Was acquired by Amazon, and that comes out, it's like a CG anime, but it has that Studio Ghibli look and everything, and it was directed by, Goro Miyazaki, who's, Hayao's son. On Sunday, January 29th, Black Sails comes back to Stars for its final season. Then on Monday, Adventure Time Islands, which is like a prequel story to the Adventure Times cartoon, or Adventure Time cartoon. That hits Cartoon Network. Then Wednesday, February 1st, 2017, The 100 comes back to the CW. BET has a new show called Madiba, that I believe that's about Nelson Mandela. And then The Expanse comes back to Syfy, so that's going to be an exciting one. Then on Thursday, February 2nd, we have Powerless hits NBC, and CBS gets a sitcom called Superior Donuts, and a sequel to the movie Training Day as a TV series. And then next Friday, February 3rd, is the Santa Clarita Diet, which hits Netflix.
I'm looking forward to that. That's going to be good.
I had no idea, like, they kept that pretty well under wraps for a long time, the twist to that show.
They did, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was just like the idea was it was going to be a dark comedy, and it was about, this couple that decides to do something different to spice up their lives or something. That's basically was the description of the show for the longest time. And then all of a sudden they released this teaser before the actual trailer came out, where it was showing like, Drew Barrymore with blood on her mouth and talking about how she can, eat whatever she wants and stuff. And then like this bucket with like body parts in it. It was like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, what's this about?
And then we got the actual trailer, and it was like, oh, okay, this is something very different now. So very different than what we had expected. So now it's like I can understand everybody who's involved in it. Now I'm like, okay, now I see why Timothy Oliphant's in this, you know? Now I see why this is actually kind of interesting. On a side note, I actually live in Santa Clarita, so this is
really?
like extra funny for me. Because the suburban nightmare they keep showing in that show is where I live.
You live that suburban nightmare every day of your life.
I live in the kind of ghetto area of Santa Clarita, so I don't live in the nice homes that they were showing and stuff. But when they're like driving down the street and stuff, like I'm like, oh, hey, that's the mall, and there's the mall. This is Santa Clarita. This is where I live. So yeah, it's kind of funny for me. But that's it.
That's awesome. All right, that's it. Awesome.
That's it for the show. You can reach me. I'm at Tyson Gifford on Twitter. Will is at Voxel Hero. You can check out our Facebook page, our YouTube channel, as well as our site, TVEnthusiast.com. You can subscribe to the podcast through any major podcast client, iTunes, Pocket Cast, whatever you use. And the entire backlog of our podcast is available on our YouTube channel. So thank you everybody for listening. Night.
Night.
If you would like to voice your opinion, send an email to theweeklyset at TVEnthusiast.com. TV Enthusiast is a part of the Enthusiast Media Network. Stay tuned to TV Enthusiast and the Weekly Set podcast for more